Republicans in Congress continue their war on ethics, this time, of course, passing a new rule to hide their records from ethics probes. Now, last week, let me give you some details on what exactly that means. Now, last week, the House GOP decided to change a rule to allow members of the House to keep their records hidden from both ethics and criminal investigations. So they're like, hey, I want to hide my stuff. I want to hide my records, my bank records, anything like that could connect me to actually doing something wrong. I want to be able to hide it from these ethics watchdogs, these investigations. Now, the Huffington Post explains that this rule will allow these politicians to conceal any information members produce, even suspicious expenditures and budgets. So if they create this, it is now considered their property. And so, we can't infringe on their property, right? No, even if we believe that these things could be connected or related to any kind of criminal activity. That essentially makes a member of Congress the owner and sole controller of any records he or she creates, whether or not those documents touch on a public interest, such as use of taxpayer money. So if you have a record of you using taxpayer money for shady purposes that the ethics watchdog actually wants to go and look at to try to, get you to not do that anymore, can't look at it. No. You know why? Because that's the property of this congressperson that you're trying to investigate. Jesus, man. In fact, it says that records created, generated, or received by the congressional office of a member are exclusively the personal property of the individual member, and such member has control over such records, according to the regulation. Now, this ties in, of course, to the previous attempt to destroy, to gut the ethics office, the Office of Congressional Ethics. Now, they failed to do so, but remember, Ron, I believe we had this conversation. We talked about this before, that this was not the end. They were going to try to do something else. They were going to try to do something shady, and guess what? This is exactly that.
Yeah, they're gonna try other ways to get what they want. Like I said, they're gonna try to wait for the parents to leave town so they can have their kegger, in which they're gonna burn the house down. And let's keep in mind, they just want to prevent government overreach or overreach into information. They don't like that unless, of course, it has something to do with people's rights on the internet or people's privacy that aren't in Congress, or if it has to do with a woman's body, or if it has to do with whistleblowers, or if it has to do with war, then it's all in the name of security then. But when it comes to holding them accountable, that's overreach, you dirty ethics people.
There's one more thing too, or how poor people spend their government money. They love getting into the middle of that. They love tracking every single cent. Remember that Fox News story that they came out with? That was patently fake news, by the way. It was false. It was BS. Okay, they came out and said, "Oh my God, food stamp fraud is on the rise. It's at a record high." And the USDA, sorry, I almost said FDA. It's the USDA that actually controls the SNAP program. They came out and said, actually, no, here are our actual records. You used a record from way back during the recession when food stamp use was incredibly high. And even those records that you were using were kind of misleading in the way that you presented them. So, no, food stamp
is way out of character.
I know. The food stamp fraud is not at an all-time high. And even though, yes, it is significant in the numbers, if you just give the raw numbers, it sounds like a lot. But when you actually look into the percentages, it's like 0.1% or something, 0.001% fraud rate. It's laughably low. And actually, it's very impressive because it shows that, hey, this program does work and they do crack down on their fraudsters. But when it comes to cracking down on fraudsters that are the politicians, no, they don't want to do that. They don't even want to touch it. It's amazing to me. Now, and of course, this rule, this passed, okay? They succeeded. And this passed without a lot of notice because at the time, we were actually talking about them trying to gut the Office of Congressional Ethics. So maybe it was like a fake out,
Well, yeah, I mean, because they tried to, the middle of the night was when they were getting together for that one too.
Yeah,
So it was like, I mean, it was one of those pieces of policy they're going to try to just push through before the public can be outraged by it.
pretty much. And that seems like that's what they're attempting to do with every piece of unpopular legislation and anything that allows them to start getting away with stuff. And again, what this does is that this gives lawmakers that are being investigated for crimes, for mismanaging your money, our money, taxpayer money, it gives them a completely new defense. Under the new regulations, a lawmaker being investigated for misuse of those taxpayer funds, by the way, might now assert the privilege to withhold spending records from law enforcement. And had this measure existed before, by the way, certain accounts might not have been accessible for corruption investigations that did end up in charges against members of Congress. And let's be honest, there have been a lot of ethics investigations that have led to Congress people being arrested or at least losing their position in Congress. I mean, you've got some notable ones like corruption scandals, and this is not, by the way, this isn't partisan either. You had former Democratic Illinois Governor Rob Blagojevich, right, who tried to sell his seat, or tried to sell Obama's Senate seat when he got elected president. I mean, that's crazy. That's super corrupt. And without these ethics investigation tools and this Office of Investigation, they never would have found him. And then you've got former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell, also hugely corrupt, and got caught on this corruption, but probably would not have been caught on this corruption if we didn't get to, if these watchdog agencies didn't get to look at these records. So, I mean, what you're doing, not only that, but you've got Duke Cunningham, okay? All of these people convicted of some sort of corruption, and corruption that might not have been found by this rule. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. And this is, I mean, what they're doing is that they're trying to make it so that you cannot, you can't hold these politicians accountable. And they're making it really easy for the current Republican Congress and Democrats too to go and rob the place. And that's what they want to do. They want to get rid of all the rules and regulations and watchdogs, and then so they can plunder the place. They can rob it, they can steal it, they can take it and dismantle it and put it in their pockets, or put it in the pockets of their large wealthy donors. And this is what the Republicans are trying to do en masse. It's amazing. I think I kind of nailed it there. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know where else. I mean, that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Like, the first step of, if you want to rob a place, you remove the cops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
or if you want to throw a kegger, you make sure your parents aren't home.
Or even so, like, you've heard of the old saying, it's easier to rob a bank if you own the bank.
Yep.
If you're running the bank, you get to oversee. I mean, it's amazing that these people can vote for their own ethics rules. That's crazy. Like, who gave them that power? Why do they still have it? Why are people not up in arms? Why are they not outraged by this? Like, the whole idea that we're dismantling ethics. It's crazy. And it's not like it's targeted simply Republicans. It just happens to be more Republicans are caught doing shady shit because more Republicans are fucking shady. But Democrats are also caught. Kwame Kilpatrick, former Detroit mayor, also got caught with this corruption stuff. So it's across the board. Anybody who does these sort of shady ethics things, and try to enrich themselves off, I don't know, stealing taxpayer funds or funneling into business deals, having some conflicts of interest. Oh, like our new president-elect, by the way, that has plenty of conflicts of interest. None of that's going to come to light.
Come on.
None of that's going to come to light. And this is what we're doing. We're destroying any accountability these people have in any ways of getting these corrupt people. Instead of draining the swamp is getting swampier, and now we're taking the people away that were actually supposed to prevent the swamp from being swampy in the first place.
We're filling the swamp with piss and not doing anything about it.
No. Well, yes. And that sucks. We shouldn't be doing that. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. patreon.com/TYTNation.